This is a line I heard at a lit fest. A parent buying a book. 200 रुपए book के लिए कौन देगा? No, it's okay for girls to play sports. And this is something I've been through in my house because my daughter's been through this and she's been told that you're a girl and you can't play sports.
Oh, really? Huh?
So gender bias is something I'm extremely
passionate about.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I explained this to a mom who called me, and this was a 10-minute conversation in depth explaining everything we do. And at the end of it, she said, "Oh, so what do you have for girls? Why does it have to be different for a girl and a boy?" Yes, I appreciate there are some things that are different. They are physically different people. But what they learn should be the same.
All our kids are constantly asking questions. But that trait of a curious child, is it different or it's just all kids are just generally curious? What do you think? Today's guest traded a thriving corporate career for something that was more important to her, curiosity. Today we have with us Yuti Javeri, the founder and author of Zain and Zoe, a series that has about 40 books that has made topics like science and recycling storytelling. With no publishing background, she spotted a gap and made something extraordinary out of it. Hi, I'm Sneha Javeri, your fellow mommy friend and the host of Mama Approved, a podcast where I ask all your questions to the best people in the business. Hi, Yuti. Thank you so much for joining us today. I can feel that this conversation is going to be super inspiring, especially for all those moms who want to get back to work and get into the workforce again. This is going to be really, really inspiring.
Thanks for having me.
So, you studied biomedical engineering. You had a career in finance. And one fine day, you're writing kids' books. On paper, this sounds insane, but it makes so much sense to me. But I want to hear from you what the journey was, what were you thinking, and how did this transition happen?
I think as a mom, and you would know you have children as well, our children are our biggest inspiration. And my daughter was my inspiration when I started looking at alternative methods of learning and education. When she was 1, I realized that, and this was 10 years ago, and we didn't have as many options for experiential learning in Bombay. It's still growing. It's very nascent. We have a very long way to go. And that's what made me start my first entrepreneurial venture, the Curiosity Club, where we taught robotics with Lego.
Wow.
So my goal has always been to make learning fun and enjoyable. I think growing up, I saw, I loved studying. I still love studying, big nerd. But I found that, children tend to get very bored if it's not taught well. And especially subjects like science and math, it can be so overwhelming for someone. It's very dry, it can be boring. It's just zone out. Yeah. And how do you make that interesting and fun? And it's a very important foundation to have. I mean, science is about how the world works and math is numbers. Everyone needs numbers, no matter what profession you're in. How do you make it fun was my motto. And that's been the goal with Zain and Zoe as well. So we were actually trying to create an animated series to streamline our curriculum delivery. And we also wrote books, because there were certain things that just weren't as great in a video with what we were trying to do. So we wrote books, and the books turned out so good that there's just been no turning back.
Oh, wow. So you just kind of stumbled upon this thing while you were trying to create content or videos for your Curiosity Club.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that Zain and Zoe kind of emerged out of that.
Yeah.
So was this... after you kind of founded Zain and Zoe, you did like a couple of books. Did you know your path, the trajectory that it's going to reach this level of success? Or were you just dabbling with it and you see how it goes? Let's see what happens and take it from there.
I think I'm still dabbling with it. I think writing it's a more passion project than a big business.
Now, Zain and Zoe is way beyond the passion.
It is. We have over 40 titles. I will cross 50 this year. But books is a very tough space. And people it's not as valued in India as it is outside.
You think so?
This is a line I heard at a lit fest. A parent buying a book. 200 रुपए book के लिए कौन देगा?
No.
So it's a very tough space to be in.
Really, huh? Oh, okay. So you think that all of us, most mothers that I know are very, very into buying books and wanting their kids to raise their children as readers. And, all of us are in that quest. Do you think this is an urban phenomenon?
Not really. In fact, a lot of our books, when we see where they're going in terms of sales, they are going to a lot of tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 towns as well. So it's not, I don't think it's an urban phenomenon, but I think the population that understands and values reading is still smaller. Also, I think we have to keep in mind that we're a diverse country with so many languages. So the English speaking and English reading population is relatively smaller as well.
So there's no plan of having Zain and Zoe translated into different regional languages?
There is. It's on the cards, hopefully, at some point.
That'll actually be amazing.
Yeah.
And I have to say this out here, that if you ever want to swap a YouTube video, you swap it with a Zain and Zoe book, because I feel like you've just hit the nail on its head. Of course, because I guess you have your child, so it's colorful. It looks like an animation, but it's not. It's actually a book. And I love the amount of information each book is packed with. So even I remember doing a project from school for my daughter about recycling. And we tried so hard to look for books that are appropriate for a 4-year-old to teach them what recycling is. And we just couldn't come across anything except the Zain and Zoe book on recycling. And the kids just understood it. They were engaged. We did a simple book reading and they all knew exactly what the recycling cycle is, what it means, compost, waste, this, that, everything. And at that time, I was just like, this is just amazing. To kind of research, of course, I'm sure you'll research extensively. And then to edit that research, I believe would be very, very tough. But y'all are just mastering that packing that information into those few pages.
Yeah, that's the goal. There is so much that we want to share with kids. There's so much information, and I think today's children want to learn, and they have so many questions. They want a why. They have a why for everything, and they want an answer for everything. So how do you answer that? So when I write a book, and we reread the book when we're editing continuously, it's what would a child ask if I read this sentence? Can I answer that question as well?
Do you use your daughter as a sounding board for all your books?
100%. My older one has read every book. Even today, she still sits with me next to the computer reading every book I'm writing.
Wow, that must be that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But did you actually think, of course, as you did say that it came out of nowhere, this whole idea, but do you perceive this gap and that's why you think the series is doing so well? Is there a gap? And if there is a gap, what is that gap that you are filling?
I think the gap has been in non-fiction. So if you look at any non-fiction book, it's typically a fact book. It has a lot of information that's bullet pointed. It's very dry to read. So today, a child who opens the book, it can be extremely overwhelming for the child to figure out what information to get and how to analyze that information. But when it's told in a story, all children love stories. In fact, all adults do as well, right? We love listening to stories. So when you're putting learning content into a story, you're just making learning effortless. Yeah, and it's fun because it becomes a byproduct. The primary thing you're doing is reading the story. Yeah, all the information is secondary, it just happens.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree with you because I feel like most of the informative books are very, very dry for the kids to read and they lose interest because they all question answer formats, if you've noticed. And the pictures are real pictures of a frog or of a, whatever. And you're just like, this is not even aesthetic for a child. Either it should be like a Nat Geo, which is genuinely the real thing, or then you're doing something like this, which is storytelling, and the child actually is understanding. I love your titles. If you can name your top 5 favorites, for everybody who's never picked up a Zain and Zoe book. Guys, by the way, if you've not picked up a Zain and Zoe, you're missing out. But what is your top 5 picks?
One of the favorites for me to write was the board book on birds. We all see books on animals. Of course, we have books on animals as well, but I think birds was different. I loved it. I love the board books because they have these very simple, nice rhymes.
Yeah.
Second, I loved writing is the India series. It is so informative. There is so much content there. The illustrations are just beautiful. We spent so much time on illustrating it because we picked up monuments and stuff, right? You don't want to spoil that in the illustration. You have to give it its space. That was an amazing series. I enjoyed writing. Our most popular ones are, of course, the solar system. Space is extremely popular. Kids love it. Continents, we all travel, so we all want to know about the world. Yeah, these are, I think, and then my new favorite is the next one I'm writing actually, is because we're moving a little bit away from our typical content-based books.
Yeah.
This one's a little on emotions. So it's actually, one of them is on it's okay for girls to play sports. And this is something I've been through in my house because my daughter's been through this and she's been told that you're a girl and you can't play sports.
Oh, really? Huh?
So gender bias is something I'm extremely big
passionate about.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other book in the same series is going to be about learning to lose.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
They really, I think our children really need to learn how to lose because we make them win come what may. And though you should have a winner mindset, but you should be a sport to losing as well because that's life, right?
Yeah.
So I think that will be an amazing one. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks. I'm very
we're going to look
excited.
forward to that. But I would love for you to say your reasoning as to why you picked Zain and Zoe, twins, who are one boy, one girl. And I know we were chatting about this, but I would love for you to speak about that because that I think is extremely important.
So coming back to what I mentioned, right? Gender bias is something I am very, very passionate about. I don't, I'll go back to a conversation I had when I started Curiosity Club, and it's robotics. So I explained this to a mom who called me, and this was a 10-minute conversation in depth explaining everything we do. And at the end of it, she said, "Oh, so what do you have for girls?" And it stuck with me because it upset me so much. Is that as an engineer myself, I'm like, how can you
say
that's
that?
different? Why does it have to be different for a girl and a boy? Yes, I appreciate there are some things that are different. They are physically different people. But what they learn should be the same. So, which is why it was very important for me to have a girl and a boy who both equally like to learn everything.
Yeah.
In fact, in the book, we also show the boy crying. It's not always the girl. A lot of this. There is a book, Community Helpers, in which we show a boy as a chef. And I had a parent who came and told me this, that I'm so glad you put a boy as a chef because it was very difficult for my son to believe that a boy can be a chef. And at 3, there are kids who are seeing this because it's coming from society.
Yeah.
So that's why Zain and Zoe, two twins who are both equally curious.
Yeah. And I know that in our conversation, you did say that curiosity is extremely important to you.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that Zain and Zoe, every topic comes out of, and of course, as you read the book, the characters also are extremely curious, of course, to impart information. But in real life, can you tell this trait of a curious child vis-a-vis a child? Children ask questions all the time. All our kids are constantly asking questions. But that trait of a curious child, is it different or it's just all kids are just generally curious? What do you think?
I think all kids are naturally curious. We tend to shut it down. And that's when it changes.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of what a professor told me in college. And she was an Indian professor there. And she said the difference is that in India, when she studied, they weren't allowed to ask why. You just had to take your teacher's word for what they said.
But we all grew up like this, right?
We all did, exactly.
Yeah.
But today, we encourage our children to ask why. And at the same time, it's okay for the adult to say, I don't know.
Yes.
I think that's becoming acceptable, and which is where you let the spark of curiosity stay alive because you're allowing them to then discover answers.
Yes. But I think we allow us not knowing a little too far because I always get I get random questions and then
I should just Google it, Mama. Just Google it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how about we look it up? How about we find a book? How about we? And she's just like, why? Just Google it. I mean, just remove your phone. Let's ask right now. Let us Google right now. And I'm just like, I'm still conflicted about this. Like when we were younger and we asked our parents something, I don't remember my parents ever saying, "Oh, I don't know this." It was like always, "Oh, of course, this is what it is, and this is how it is, and this is the answer to this, and whatever." So when I have to say that, "Oh, I don't know," like let me check for you or whatever, she knows I'm checking on Google, like So, but I think it's okay, right? Yeah. I mean, we're in a tech world. Our kids see it. They're going to be around tech. They're going to be using it so much more than we do. Yeah. I mean, today it's an AI world. Answers come even faster. Yeah, even faster. So why not? And I'm a very strong believer of tech should be used in the right way, even for our children. Yeah. Yeah. So I want to ask you that, of course, as you said, your daughter sits with you and while you're writing and she's glancing into the computer while you're writing. 20 years from now, when your daughter is grown up, what do you think she will think when she sees this entire series that her mom has created of this duo? I hope that when she sees it 20 years later, she says that you created a love for learning. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And I'm sure she will say that. But also, I think that when she sees this, your entire stand on gender equality will be also screaming quite loudly, because a lot of your books are breaking, you have made sure that they are breaking stereotypes, which I think is extremely important. And that's why, please promise that you are going to translate this into regional languages, because in urban areas, yes, there are very many of us who think like this, but I think the interiors of the country need this more than ever, and today more than ever, because girls are breaking barriers. They are doing things that people would not have expected them to do. So in a small way, it is books and it is knowledge that actually create that pathway towards something much greater and bigger, for them. Thank you so much for joining me. This was amazing. I've had such a blast chatting with you. And I'm looking forward to your new. Thanks so much, then.
Thank you so much for listening. If you like content like this, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel.